What's up, NIO family? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and the broader markets. I'm going to break down some important pieces of news that just came out. What you should be watching for as time goes on, since tomorrow is going to be a very big day with the CPI data coming out. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below, or sign up with my QR code that's right over here. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free Nvidia stock. If you deposit $2,000, you're going to get $50 worth of the stock. Deposit $10,000 to get $300 worth, and deposit $50,000 to get $1,000 of free Nvidia stock. You'll also qualify for an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash, and the offer ends very soon, so check out my links down below. Anyways, as far as NIO is going, as you guys can tell, we have a nice looking double bottom like structure that's developing right here, which is looking pretty good. And for the last couple of days, we've been making higher highs and higher lows. But notice that so far, we're struggling to break above $5. So we need to hold above $5 to try to push back up to these highs around 5.25. If we don't, we could be returning to 4.77, so you want to be very careful. NIO is giving lots of credit to their ET5, which is very luxurious, a very, very big competitor with other European brands. And simultaneously, we're going to see a big increase in the wait times for their Onvo L90. And this is some good news because it just tells us there's very high demand for it because of its affordability and very, very awesome looking features. So it's a very, very high demand new vehicle that's come out, and we're seeing a lot of delays in deliveries. Right now, the capacity is increasing to about 10,000 units, which is very, very awesome. And I think that this is basically telling us that with the high deliveries coming out and that high amounts of sales, this is going to help them in many, many different ways to improve their numbers. So I think this is fantastic news. Good news for NIO. Goldman Sachs is still neutral on NIO, by the way. And the price-price ratio is still climbing as NIO is gaining some strength, right? The market was coming down a bit, but NIO is still holding up. So I just want to give you guys some insights about that. When it comes to seasonality, Tuesdays tend to be green about 55% of the time, but this coming Tuesday is going to be a bit more complicated since we have a couple of Fed speakers and we have CPI data. We have all items and core CPI year over year expecting some increases. And besides that, everything else is quite close to expectations. But as far as CPI goes, all items saw a nice increase the last time it came out. And then core also saw a slight increase. So are we going to see another increase in CPI, or are the numbers going to be about the same? We'll see about that. We're expecting core to go up to 3%. We're expecting all items to go to like 2.8 to 2.9%, a slight increase overall. Although oil prices or crude futures versus CPI is suggesting that we're seeing a bit of a decrease, this could be deflationary, but we'll see just to be safe because there are other factors affecting things, such as like the tariffs and then the cost of goods. If you look at services prices and such, Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley are all expecting a slight increase based off their reports. And there's currently about an 86% chance we get some kind of Fed cut, at least in September as of right now. So this data may affect this. When it comes to President Trump, we have some big news that came out. President Trump is saying that there's been a lot of negotiations between the US and China, and he is once again extending the pause in tariffs. So before, right, the tariffs had to be imposed, starting tomorrow. That was the initial date, the deadline, at least for China. But President Trump has extended that by 90 days. So now the new deadline is going to be on November 9th. This is going to delay the tariffs and give the US and China more time to negotiate. President Trump also said that he wants to meet up with Putin, and he's going to continue to negotiate with different countries. And he says that the US is going to come out on top when it comes to these negotiations. So keep that in mind. That's some important news. Also, for chip stocks like Nvda, we're going to see a change in their tariffs. There's going to be a tax of about 15% on the revenue that comes from China when it comes to their sales, in exchange for them to be able to get the right licenses to sell in China. Monday.com had earnings, and then we have a couple more minor ones, at least for now. So as far as NIO goes, we're technically a bit more bullish, trying to make higher highs and higher lows. But be careful at this $5 area. It's a little bit tough here. I need to see this break for us to continue to push up. If we can't break this, there's going to be a risk of us coming back down to 4.8 and consolidate like this. Then we'll see if we break out higher again for this double bottom. So it might consolidate between 4.8 and $5 for a couple of days before it tries to break out. We'll see just to be safe, so please keep that in mind. However, as far as SPY goes, I just want to warn you guys that there is a rising wedge-like pattern. I do want to warn you guys about this. We'll see what CPI brings us. Will we see a big bounce, or will the market get a rug pull? If we're bullish, we need to get back above 638. If we're bearish, you want to see us lose 632. It depends on CPI, but there is a rising wedge, so be careful, especially if there's a big gap to fill at 622. We'll see which way we end up going. For the QQQ, same thing. Are we about to break above 575 to start pushing higher? Are we about to get some kind of rug pull? CPI is going to determine this. If CPI is hot, this could be causing us to dip. We'll see if the rising wedge pans out or not. You have to be prepared for anything. Break 575, we're bullish, but lose 570, we're bearish. We'll see which way we end up going. For the IWM Russell 2000, we also happen to have a diamond reversal, head and shoulders like pattern. Left shoulder, head and then right shoulder. If we can't break past 222, this may continue to fall back down to 218. Then eventually this gap fill back down to 215. So be very, very careful. For ES, although we're making higher highs and higher lows, we're getting tighter. And keep in mind, there's a rising wedge. So we have to bounce right here around 63.80. If we don't, this is going to be dumping towards like the lower 6,300s. So give this the time it needs. On NQ, we're making higher highs and higher lows, but if we lose 23,500, we're looking for a dump. So we'll see how it goes. So give this the time it needs. Bitcoin's rejecting off 122,000. We're kind of range bound here, so we're going to see what happens. Look for 117,000 support and 120,000 resistance. We might just trade between those levels just for now. As far as Tesla goes, we're technically trying to make higher highs and higher lows. If we can't hold 335, we're going to be dumping back down to fill this gap around 330. If we break past 345, we're looking to, continue to go higher. For now, Tesla's got a rejection. We're below 340 right now. So if we can't reclaim that, we're technically favoring a move back down to 335. We'll see if the market dips or not. But just be careful on this setup. It's a little bit risky. Nvidia is consolidating. There is some news about the higher taxes on them. So look for 181 as our targets. If we hold this, we could bounce. If not, we're looking for 178 or below. For Aapl, we have 225 as support. If that fails us, we're looking for 220. We'll have to see how it goes. For AMD, we're technically, holding up very well. We're in a range. If we lose 169, we're looking for a dump to fill the gap at 165. But if we break 178, we're bullish. Watch and see what happens at 169. If that doesn't hold, we could be dipping more. So give that the time it needs. For Coinbase, we have a nice inverse head and shoulders. We could be dipping to fill this gap around this 310 area, and we'll see if buyers defend. Otherwise, we're favoring some downside. Amazon's favoring 218. We'll see if we bounce off that or not. Meta might be dipping towards 752 to fill that gap. And then Google could also be dipping towards 199. And we'll see if buyers defend. Last but not least, Microsoft is dipping. So we have this imbalance down here around 513. So give that the time it needs. And finally, the VIX is looking more bullish. Trying to break right here. If we break 16.65, we're looking for a push for 17.78. And we'll give this the time it needs. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have a great rest of your guys' days. The market is once again showing some weakness right now, and this could really change the way in which things are moving. So be very mindful of that. However, I still remain optimistic, and I think there's a good chance the market tries to, even if we do get some kind of big dump, we're still going to get bought back up for the longer term. For the short term, we'll see if we get some kind of rug pull or not. Anything could really happen with CPI. And regardless of that, NIO needs to hold above $5. If it doesn't, we have a double bottom and there could be a rejection off 5, taking us back down to 4.8. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, that's it for this one. There is upside potential for $5 on NIO, and we'll see if we get a rejection. So give this the time it needs. I thank you all so much for listening, and peace out.